Let's kick it old school. The year is 1983. I wasn't born, so I assume all you people did was go to high school, hang out at the mall, and fight monsters in the Upside Down. But one day, while you're chilling in the arcade trying to get the high score on Tapper to impress your crush, you suddenly get mesmerised by this obelisk of beauty, brand new addition to the arcade that went by the name Dragon's Lair. What made Dragon's Lair so sexy was that instead of those boring pixel sprites that were all square and chunky looking, it used full motion video. Basically, instead of having the graphics be generated on the fly, the whole game was created and rendered into a video, and all you had to do was press a button at the right time to perform the tasks. The director of Dragon's Lair was Don Bluth, who had previous work experience at Disney, so when you played Dragon's Lair, it felt like you were playing a Disney movie. The only problem is that rendered footage takes up a lot of space. So if you could fit hours of content into a regular arcade machine, you could fit around 10 minutes of video into the hardware. So the creators of Dragon's Lair made an ingenious idea to make the game really hard. This meant that you could play the game for hours and still not be able to see all 10 minutes of the animation. Plus, since you had to pay 50 cents for each life, it meant you could be spending a lot of money very quickly on this pretty dominatrix of a game. Dragon's Lair can be considered the godfather of FMV games, and it paved the way for games like Night Trap, a 1992 horror game for the Sega CD, where you play the role of a special agent tasked with watching over teenage girls having a sleepover. Right, let's leave the 90s where it belongs, in the trash. There is a clear lineage of games that track from Dragon's Lair through the 80s and 90s before dying off in the early 2000s, when regular graphics started to look realistic enough to be fun to play and FMVs were sidelined to the role of cutscenes. But just like everything that lost its popularity in the 2000s, people tried to bring it back to life. In 2018, Netflix pulled a funny one by adding an interactive game to its selection of movies. You might have heard of it. It was called Bandersnatch. This was closer to a choose-your-own-adventure game than the FMVs of the past. As in older FMVs, there was still a sense of autonomy because you had to press the right button at the right time to continue, or else you failed and had to start again. Instead of this, Bandersnatch followed a branching narrative style, where at certain moments you were prompted to pick one of a selection of possible choices. These would then lead you down different paths of the story and could lead to failed states, where it told you were stupid for picking that and allowed you to go back to the previous prompt and try again. It was well received at the time, winning the Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Award for Outstanding Creative Achievement in Interactive Media within a Scripted Program. Woo! That's big. People seemed to enjoy it, but didn't see it as the future of gaming because it was still trying to be a movie rather than a game, and the branching paths just made your experience more personalised and enticed you into watching the same movie again to see new story paths. Possibly because of the success of Bandersnatch, Sony Entertainment decided to help publish Erica, an interactive game made by Flavorworks. The studio's main goal for Erica was to create the most interactive video-based game using their touch video technology, which allowed the player to use either their smartphone or the PS4 touchpad to interact with areas of the video. The game was released in 2019 to mixed reviews, with a lot of people seeing its promise as a good interactive movie with unique technology, but not having a compelling enough story or enough gameplay to be worth its price. A lot of the mixed reviews I had read brought up the topic of the game's price not being worth it, which is interesting because I got this game for free. PlayStation Plus gives free monthly games to its users as a way to help smaller games or flops still get out there, and that's where I found Erica. Between Rise of the Tomb Raider and Street Fighter V, Erica was given away to PlayStation Plus users who were probably curious about the game but didn't want to pay full price for it. After reading the reviews and playing the game, I can see how much impact the price would have had on your experience, as after 5 to 6 hours of playing, I had finished the story 3 times and collected around 50% of the PlayStation trophies. The actual experience was a fun novelty by being able to interact with objects in-game through the touchpad. This was intuitive, but did take me a second to get used to it. The story was interesting and kept me engaged between multiple playthroughs because each new path gave me more information to help understand the story as a whole. But the story isn't perfect. The game has no fail state like Bandersnatch, so no matter what choice I made, I never failed or died and had to start over, which meant I kind of felt invincible and therefore had no real emotional stakes when the character was in danger. Also, because of the branching narratives, there are certain sections of the game where the narratives have to meet for it all to make sense. And in 1 or 2 places, I found that using my knowledge from a previous playthrough didn't stop me from experiencing certain scenes, which felt like I wasn't rewarded for remembering information between playthroughs. I'm not going to spoil any of the story, and all the footage here is from early on in the game, as I would definitely recommend it to anyone who had managed to download it when it was free. But at the time of writing, Erica is now £9 on the PlayStation Store, and I can see some people feeling like they didn't get enough out of it for £9. When it comes to the future of FMV games, the creators of Erica have managed to secure $3.5 million in funding, which means they are most likely working on a new game that uses the video touch technology. The best way I can put it is if you see Erica as a full game, you will be disappointed. But if you see Erica more like a tech demo, as something the company can show to investors to give them an idea of what they want to make in the future, I would say it does a good job. And I, for one, will be looking forward to the next Flavorworks game.